Like every moment in the garden, this time of year is something special. In cool and temperate climates, so many species are going through their winter dormancy, the deciduous, and they are asleep. And while you could be fooled into thinking the gardener should be resting too, it is a great time of year to get so many things in the ground. So I want to give you my best tips for choosing, buying and planting bare root. Bare root plants are exactly what they sound like. They're plants that are grown in the field, and then winter, when they're dormant, they're dug up out of the ground and sent straight to you or to the nursery. You can see that they are essentially the whole plant without soil or a pot, which means they can be a lot cheaper because the transport costs are less. Now, it is worthwhile when you go looking for a tree to look for something with a really strong root system. It is a bit of a shock to be wrenched out of the ground, but if they're in really good shape down below, you're going to have great results up top. This is a Nashi pear, a really great variety, and you can see that's a really strong root system. There's lots of fine roots. It's going to be a fantastic plant when you put it in the ground. While a bare root tree will always be a few dollars cheaper than their potted cousin, the variety available is really, for me, one of the best reasons to look for bare root. In the nursery, you'll get loads of different varieties that aren't as easy to get in pots through the growing season. And then when it comes to things like roses, there are so many to choose from. The other thing that you can get at this time of the year are the berries. So there's loads of different berries. Most of them are deciduous, and there'll be a great variety available at this time of the year. And even perennials. You can order dormant perennial plants, beautiful ornamentals, and also things like this. The beautiful octopus of asparagus. It's one of the most robust plants to grow. Perennial vegetable, you get 20 years out of it, and it all starts in winter like this. When it comes to picking the actual tree, it is worth being a little bit fussy about the one you take home, and it's good to pay a little bit of attention to what you might want to do with it. Now, a lot of our fruiting trees are incredibly compliant plants, and they can be pruned and trained into almost any space. So when you're picking your plant, it's worth thinking about what you want to do with it. So for example, if you want to train something on a flat plane known as espalier, then I would look for something with branches that could potentially do that. This is a mulberry, and it's got 3 really nice bits of growth which are almost on the same plane. You are going to prune them when you plant it, but you could imagine you could tie that in place and you'd get a really instant effect. Alternatively, you might want to have a tree that forms a really nice big open and vase-shaped shade tree. So you can see here the tip of this has actually come out last year, which caused it to do this nice even branching. It's going to get a further prune when it goes in the ground. It's going to do a fantastic job. Now, commonly you can get bare-rooted roses in a little plastic bag, and they'll usually have a bit of lightweight sawdust on there to keep those roots a bit moist, but it is not suitable to leave those roses in for a long period of time. So what you need to do as soon as you get it home, split the bag open, dunk it in a bucket of water, wash all of that sawdust off, and that is an amazingly healthy plant. When you come home with your plants, it's really important to deal with them straight away. Don't leave them in the car for a couple of days before you think about it. Because if you're not going to get them in the ground straight away, you still need to give them lots of cover over that root system. It's called healing them in. So you can do it in a pot and some potting mix, even in your compost heap. Simple way to do it is just to dig out some loose soil, and then you just need to cover them up, compost or whatever you've got, and that'll keep them protected and cool until you're ready to plant. If you are going to plant your tree, you're going to need to dig a hole, so chuck it in some water while you do that. Beautiful soil. Now I've dug a nice wide hole, but not particularly deep because I still want to make sure that this drains really well. So I put a mound in the middle of the hole that I'm going to sit that root ball on. It'll spread those roots out into the surrounding soil and it should work perfectly well. Now, before I get this tree in the ground, I do want to have a close look at the roots because obviously they get wrenched out using really great machinery, but it can cause some damage. So it's really worth having a little look, checking if there's anything broken, and where there is, you just give it a nice clean cut. That's going to heal up and you'll get really good root establishment from there. It's a bit broken, so I'm actually just going to come back in. And they look pretty good. Now for the big moment. Now I'm going to position the tree with the mound supporting the centre of the root ball and those other roots sitting down around the edges. I just want to make sure visually that my finished soil level is going to end up above where it was in the pot. You can see this is a grafted plant, so I don't want to bury that bud union, but I do want to bring the soil up to come around that stem and give it lots of stability in the ground. You can see I'm just giving it a little jiggle as I backfill, just to make sure that I'm getting that soil in around the root system, because the last thing you want is a big pocket of air. Come summertime, it'll kill off those roots. Now, the last thing you need to do when you're planting a tree like this is balance the shoots of the tree with those roots, which have been greatly reduced by being dug up out of the ground and transported. They've been cut multiple times. So it's important to get these out. Now, you can get this done at the nursery if you get a tree there. They'll do it for you, but it's pretty simple, really. You need to look for the buds. They literally are pointing in the direction they're going to shoot. I want to create a nice open shape with this pear tree, and so I'm going to come down this branch because I want that branching to occur down low, and I'm going to choose this bud and I'm going to prune to it. This other limb is quite a bit less vigorous, so it might be counterintuitive, but I'm going to prune it harder because pruning, in winter particularly, does encourage a strong growth response. So I'm going to follow those buds down again, just looking for one that's pointing out, and then I'll snip it there. And then I'm going to watch and wait and see what happens in response here. Next year I might give it another formative prune to really create the structure and the fruiting wood I want. You might notice I haven't added anything to this soil, compost or fertiliser. That's because this soil is really beautiful, it's well drained, but also because I want the tree to get used to its new home. The bare root season has so much diversity, so many varieties to choose from. It is a great time to get your forest in the ground by digging some holes and planting in winter.